Now we will move to our next JavaScript question. So, by how many ways one can access HTML elements inside JavaScript, or how one can access DOM element inside JavaScript? So, first of all, inside an HTML, whenever we are writing any of the element, we are assigning it an ID or class, or we are not assigning it or an ID, but it must have some tag name. So we can access those elements using these three things at least. Then we have another thing called as by query selector. Now we will see each one in detail. So suppose I want to access the element by ID. So I can simply write document dot get element by ID and then name of the ID in the bracket. Suppose I want to access any element by class. So I can simply write document dot get elements by class name and then name of the class. Same way for the tag also. But one thing to be noted down here is that for ID it is coming just element by ID, while for class name and tag name it is coming elements by. Why? Because ID is always unique in the document, while class name and tag name can be multiple in the same document. Multiple elements can have the same class name or same tag name. So because of that it is coming elements. Now we will see how to use query selector. So query selector is making use of above three methods only: ID, class and tag name. Okay, so how it works? Suppose I want to access any element by query selector using ID. So I will simply write document dot query selector. If it is an ID, I will put has before the name of the ID. Suppose it is in class, so I will put dot before the name of the class. If it is a tag, so we need not to put anything extra before the name of the tag. Okay, with this we completed the theory part of how we can access the HTML elements inside JavaScript. Now we will see the practical example of this. Okay. So first of all, in index.html, yes, here we have some h1 tag, then having some class, some ID as well, sub tag name without any ID and class. So what we will do, we will access this ID. Control C. What we can do, where x is equal to document dot get element by ID. Okay. Then name of the ID as we copied from there. Okay. Then we will write console.log and then we will write x. Now we will see what is happening in the browser window. Yes, it is properly coming. This is the heading ID. Suppose what I want, that I don't want this particular thing h1 ID content. I just want the inner side text thing. What I can do then? I can simply put dot inner text. Now we'll see. Yes, now only the inner text content is coming. Along with this, suppose how someone is asked that how we can access it using query selector. So what we will do? Okay, first of all we will see what we need to access. For example, this I want to access example tag. Okay, so I will just erase these things. Okay, dot query selector. Okay, query selector is there. I will just put then name of the tag, but it is a class, so I need to put dot before the name of the class, so it will know that it is a class. Yes, now it is also coming properly. So by this way the answer of this particular question is fully complete. But here the interviewer can also ask the question like how we can change the CSS property, how we can manipulate it. So that thing we will see in our next slide. Thank you very much.